Elijah wants to know, why do we go Arrowquip over silencer? So a couple things to get out of the way first. I am not sponsored by Arrowquip. Lord knows I'd like to be, but I'm not. Yet. Secondly, if you're looking for me to say that silencer shoots suck and molly manufacturing is terrible, then you're in the wrong video, because I'm not really going to diss on them that much. They're not a bad shoot. I just like these Arrowquips a lot better. Our vet actually runs silencers, and that's where we started looking first, but ultimately settled on something better. One of the very first things that impressed me about these Arrowquip shoots are how quiet they are. That was one thing that was turning me off to a bunch of other shoot brands, honestly, including silencer, that they were loud, clattered, made a lot of noise, and generally riled up the cows. Here, every pivot joint has a polymer lining on it. Like even here on this drop-down access, that's wrapped in a rubber hose. These are poly rollers in here. And at the end, we have a bit of a rubber hose for them to stop against. The slam latches are even poly-lined. Another thing that I really liked was this rubber kind of tread plate style floor. When the cow walks into this chute, it doesn't make hardly any noise when they walk in. It's very, very quiet. And if they're not making a lot of noise with their hooves underneath, then they're not getting riled up. It's just another step in trying to keep your cattle calm. The next thing I like is how much room is inside the chute. Our biggest bulls will not fit in our vet's silencer chute. Part of it is because of the V-squeeze style, but a couple of our big guys will not fit. And they cannot get them inside. They can't do the full, meal deal. They can't get the full weights, can't do everything they need to do to him because he won't fit. Whereas with this, we can fit any of our bulls in here. No problem at all whatsoever. Then you have these hydraulic controls. Now these things are on a swing arm that has 300 degrees of travel, so you can work from either side of the chute. And for me, they're just right about chest level, and they're really easy to work with. Now I know silencer has them now, but back then they didn't. All of their controls were on one corner of the chute, and that's just where they stayed. And all day you had your hand above your head trying to work and run the controls. And it was limited on who could use it. This, my 5-foot-tall wife can use. My 5'2" mother can run this. And both of them have. But a silencer with everything way up top, hell, my wife couldn't even reach them. And that's part of the underlying theme about this Q-Power 107. Is its versatility. And personally, I'm a much bigger fan of the parallel squeeze over the V squeeze. I just think it does a better job of keeping the animal where you need it without making them go down. Now, I mentioned versatility before. Let me expand on it further. Right now, that opens like that. However, and just 2 seconds later, I flip this around, so now it opens up that way. Then you have the side doors here. Now you can take just the bottom open, or you can take just the top open, or drop that down, both at the same time. Then you have these needle access points here. Now, you've got plenty of room. You can get your hand in between here without any problems, but if you need to, pop that down. You've got more room there. Or, lift it up, slide it out, you got even more room. You can actually even remove the whole thing if for some reason you want to. And no matter what animal height you're dealing with, you have got plenty of fingers to work with your rump bar. Speaking of the rump bar, I know I've touched on this subject before, but we'll do it again. Has a fiberglass core, wrapped in hose. It's light enough. You can lift it with 2 fingers, but also incredibly strong. I've had our bowls back up against this. And it's still here. And unlike those metal rump bars that weigh a ton and, are metal, it doesn't clank and bang and make a lot of noise. Wrapped in rubber with poly fingers. Very, very quiet. Then you have the sternum bar here, which you can actually remove while the head gate's closed. Pull these pins here. Easy peasy. And speaking of the head gate, look how much light you can see through that. One thing I have never liked about silencers is how dark it gets inside the chute. That the cow can't really see anything in front of them, whereas this uses light to draw them up and in. And last but certainly not least, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple other things that I really like about this chute, is the manual head holder. We opted to go this route instead of the hydraulic head sweep that they had. They didn't have the neck extender, which they do now, which I think that's pretty sweet, but the original sweep just came from one side and I didn't particularly like it. So we opted for this, and I'm actually quite glad we did. Down there, it cups their neck and their head. Then you have this to prevent them from thrashing up and around. And it's easy to operate, and once it's in place, it doesn't move. At least until you want to release it, that is. At which point, easy release. Like I said, nothing against silencer, but there is literally nothing silencer could do that Arrowquip isn't doing better. And that was 5 years ago before they released the General. That General is possibly the most badass chute I've ever seen in my entire life. That thing is an absolute beast and is capable of handling anything you throw at it. And then it's not just about, hydraulic chutes and, their super badass high-end stuff. They've also got everything in between. They have a budget hydraulic chute as well. I just don't remember the number right off the top of my head. Then they have all the way down to an entry-level manual chute. I believe it's the 54. And they also have the 74 and the 87s in the manual chutes. The 87 is essentially a 107 just manual. And the 54, that's at the same price, if not cheaper, than some of these, garbage Balin and Preferts. Now, I said I wouldn't talk smack on silencer, but the same will not be said about Balin, Prefert, Powder Creek. You guys make absolute garbage, and you're going to get someone killed using your crap equipment. Arrowquip has been instrumental in our transition into low-stress cattle handling. And running them through our tub, our alleyway, our chute, it keeps them calm. A lot of people during my lives and in my other videos commented on how there was no yelling. It was really quiet. I mean, you could hear the hydraulic power pack outside. You could hear the thump of the swing door on the tub. And a little bit of clattering from the chute. But other than that, it was quiet. Not a lot of hooping and hollering and yelling and anything. You don't need it. This works so well that the cows, for the most part, just run themselves through. And saying that, I know I'm going to get a lot of people going, oh yeah, sure. They just run themselves through. They do. Arrowquip takes advantage of a cow's natural behavior of wanting to get away from you, wanting to move towards the light, things like that, to help in naturally moving an animal through their equipment. And in my humble opinion, there is not a single piece of cattle handling equipment on the market that will beat out Arrowquip. Also, a quick shout out to Würzburger Ranch Equipment in Alma. They're great people to work with, great Arrowquip dealers. Any animal, any operator, anytime. I know that's not their motto, but, well, it sure ought to be. Hope that answers your question. Thanks for stopping by.